the new Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill has been met with some resistance. Homeschooling and alternative education groups have added their voice to the thousands of submissions given to the Department of Basic Education. They warn that the laws overreach and are not effectively equipped to deal with changes in the sector. Let's get more now on this, and we speak to the Basic Education Portfolio Committee Chairperson. This is in Parliament, Bongiwe Mbiqo-Gigaba, who talks to us on the line. Very good morning to you, and thank you very much for your time. Your reaction to what this bill proposes, and clearly what doesn't sit well with those that have made submissions saying that these laws are overreaching.
Hi, morning, Oli, and morning to the viewers at home. And thank you very much for having this interview with me. One, I must say that we have looked into the submission. I must just clarify that we have received about 18,000 submissions. And up to date, the committee has only processed about 5,400 submissions. But you are correct that the submissions that we have processed to date, they are rejecting the amendments that the Department of Basic Education wants to do. So we are going to embark on that process. Starting from tomorrow, where we will have oral submissions, and of course members of the public, organizations that work with the sector will be able to tell us what are their views with regards to the bill.
If there is overwhelming sentiment that there needs to be changes, particularly in areas such as homeschooling, is the committee amenable to that? Do you think that that is something that is certainly going to be changed?
Look, Polly, this is the first phase. What I've just informed you. The second phase will be for us to go now to have public hearings where we will go to communities and hear what they say. But whatever that we will be processing as Parliament, it's going to be the views of the majority of South Africans. So if they tell us that they would not want the department to amend the bill, that is what we are going to table for Parliament, and Parliament would have to adopt or reject the report that would be coming from the public. But this is a process of engaging the public and hear what their views are with regards to the Bella bill.
Yeah, I want to touch quickly on other matters, but I need to clear this one around homeschooling. There seems to be quite a number of people who are unhappy about what is being proposed. What exactly is the radical difference between what we had and what is proposed as new rules?
Look, the department is proposing that learners should be allowed to do homeschooling, but it's a homeschooling that would be supervised. Like, for instance, you would know there are learners who would not necessarily want to be in class for many different reasons. Now, what the people are saying, according to the submissions that we have received, is that they feel that there have not been consultation enough with the public on this matter. They feel that the department is taking the decision without consulting them, and they feel that there was no research done on this matter. So they feel that learners must be allowed to be in class, and they must learn in class, vis-a-vis what the department said, if for any other reason there is a child that cannot be in class, for any other reason, they would want that child to still be educated at home.
There is then the other areas that I want to touch on quickly before we are out of time. One of those areas is the creation of a compulsory school starting age. Is that the grade R phase, and what's the big idea here?
Okay. The compulsory education clause, which is one of the clauses that we are dealing with in this bill, it states that the grade R should be compulsory in all our schools. You know that there are still schools that do not have grade R poly. Grade R is done somewhere else, and then kids will start to come when they must start to do grade 1.
Yeah.
So this bill seeks to say that grade R should be compulsory and should be part of schooling, which is the normal schooling. You start in grade. In fact, all schools should start in grade R, moving forward to other schools, to other grades.
And then closely linked to that subject matter is the whole issue around punishment for parents who do not see to it that their children are at school during school hours. And talk to us about that punishment, because there are fines and even a prison sentence for parents who don't comply.
Okay. Now, with regards to the clause, it's a clause that says there should be compulsory education. If for one reason or the other, myself as a parent is keeping a child at home, and the department happens to find out that I am staying at home with a child that is supposed to be at school. Because one, you must understand that education is every child's right. So the fine that is proposed in this amendment bill is that a parent should be fined 6 to 12 months fine or imprisonment if a child is happened to be at home whilst he's supposed to be at school.
Yeah. And if for those parents, for example, who may not have monies to pay in case their children miss school for one or other reason, how do you intend dealing with those parents? Is it automatic that they will be sent to jail because they have failed to take their children to school?
I think it's based on the amendment that is proposed. They would have to be jailed if they unfortunately cannot. But I think it's something that the courts and them would be dealt with. But I think the main contention here and the main message is that our parents should know that they must send their children to school. It has to be compulsory, or rather you look into the issue of homeschooling like we have discussed before.
All right. Then two last questions. I'll ask these two questions in quick succession because of time. There is the proposal for a much more accountable school governing body system, particularly as it relates to financial interests of the members of the school governing body. Why is that important? And last question has to do with corporal punishment. I thought that this was already done away with in South Africa. Why is corporal punishment still being talked about?
Okay. Let me first start with the issue of SGBs and the funding model. You know now that the school governing bodies are the ones that are dealing with the issue of budget and finance in our schools. So this amendment bill is seeking that as much as they do that, but the last person should be the HOD or the MEC in the province, or even the minister in other cases. So there is a rejection with regards to that. SGBs feel that the issue of funding and how funding model is done currently should continue the way it is. Corporal punishment clearly is not allowed in our schools. But of course, there are few individuals and people that have submitted that feel that it needs to be returned back. Because it's a matter that as we proceed, we are going to hear how people feel about it. But as things stand now, corporal punishment in our schools is not allowed.
Wow. So it could effectively come back if there is a greater sentiment that some parents feel that it should be brought back. Is that as a result of a behavior at schools, particularly from children who simply are failing to listen to the rules?
It's not allowed, Toli. It's not allowed, right? But of course, because of the behavior that is there, like you correctly have said, people would have different opinions about it and how they feel about it. It's accepted. So ours is to go to where the people are, listen to them, try to process that information, make suggestions and make recommendations to Parliament, which will be accepted or rejected.
Very interesting indeed. We await to see just how strong a sentiment might come from that end. Corporal punishment, some people feeling that it should be returned. Well, we shall see. That's the Education Portfolio Committee Chairperson, Bongiwe Mbiqo-Gigaba.